I'm Tiger High, and I'm here to make WWE NXT and Pro Wrestling Majestic again. There were some things I liked about it. There were some things that I think could have been done better. The main event was kind of lazy, but there was some decent stuff here. Kind of a mixed bag NXT. I liked more than I hated. So our first match, Steel Cage, and if the Creed brothers won, which they did, they were reinstated into NXT. The strength of Julius Creed having one guy in an ankle lock, and then subsequently another grown-ass man running at you, you taking him up into a legitimate powerbomb, still with the ankle lock in, that was very impressive. Literally everything about this match, I was just so impressed with. These teams just do so well together, and I love every second of it. I just really liked what I saw here. It was a couple of forearm smashes for the Creeds to win, but even though I knew the results, I didn't really care. It was just a fun, straightforward, crisp, good match. And it gets a full thumbs up. I didn't expect this for an opener NXT. This is a main event NXT. Why wasn't this not the main event? So our first match in this Global Heritage Invitational, we have Butch taking on Charlie Dempsey. Sure. So this is essentially a mini round robin tournament circa G1 Climax. The winner gets 3 points, the loser gets 0. I think there's probably some sort of nonsense for 2 and 1 points. I don't necessarily care. I like the concept overall, but I kind of wish it was for something maybe a little bit more than this weird Heritage Cup nonsense. I guess if they're wanting to keep this Heritage Cup for the long term, this is a way to do it, but why keep the Heritage Cup? Seriously, why keep the Heritage Cup? Anyway, the match itself was fun. I do like the dynamics of these two. They worked really well, and it was a bitter end for the win. I'll give it an Orange Cassidy thumbs up. I don't like the fact that once again they have to bring in another main roster guy to do this, but if they have to bring in any sort of legitimacy, then I guess Butch is better than somebody who was never in NXT, like Dominic goddamn ass Mysterio, even though he should have been here, and he's crushing it as a North American champion. Just remember that championship still exists. So up next was the Ilja Dragunov segment. He was talking about Carmelo Hayes. There was a little moan with the rest of Metaphor, and then we had this brawl with Ora Mensa and Ilja Dragunov, and I liked it. Overall, it was fine. Orange Cassidy thumbs up. Not too much else to say there. Up next was a tag team match. Electra Lopez and Lola Vice taking on Dana Brooke and Kelani Jordan. I almost said Kelani James within my notes, but I double checked it because I know how to double check my shit, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Jordan. It was a match. Not too much to say. It was a roundhouse kick spinebuster combination for Lopez and Vice to win. I'll give it an Orange Cassidy thumbs up, and that's being nice. They worked hard. They did what they could. There were some limitations, but I just need to keep in mind that this is NXT. It's a developmental promotion. Take it with a grain of salt. Dijak taking on Eddy Thorpe. Dijak has had killer matches. Like, killer matches. Awesome matches. Awesome stuff. And then Eddy Thorpe is here. Wet fart in church. What's a common denominator? It's Eddy Thorpe. I don't know if he needed more training or more experience, but he is not clicking to anybody. Dijak has it. Eddy Thorpe needs some work. Now, when I say some, I mean a lot. Maybe should have stayed in New Japan for a little bit more. Maybe they shouldn't book him as he is because he is clearly not ready. But my God, if you get Dijak into a kind of a subpar-ass match, you suck. Period. It was a discus boot for Dijak to win. At the very least, the guy won. I'll give it an Orange Cassidy thumbs up, and that's all respect to Dijak. Eddy Thorpe can go fuck himself. Joe Coffey and Nathan Frazer in another Global Heritage Invitational. It was a fun match. Here's the thing. Even though I feel like this whole Heritage Cup thing is absolutely ridiculous and is taking away from like the North American champion, I do like this concept. It's introducing a lot of stuff that I am truly enjoying. These two had a fun little match, and it was a best for the bells, which is essentially a lariat, for Coffey to win. He needed it a lot. But once again, Nathan Frazer, former Heritage Cup champion, is kind of there. He shouldn't even be involved in this tournament in the first place. And not because he sucks, because he doesn't suck. But go for that. Go for the North American champion. Stop with this cup bullshit. I'll give it a full thumbs up. I liked more than I hated. And then we have our main event. Number 1 contenders match. Roxanne Perez, Gigi Dolin, Kiana James, and Blair Davenport. I liked the match. It was a fun main event overall. Dynamics were good. The women worked hard. They told a decent story in the ring. But the winner was kind of an interesting move, and I'm curious on how they're going to, follow up with this. I like Kiana James. Don't get me wrong. I've seen her improve so much, but it's a heel versus a heel, and I never like heel versus heel. I just don't. It makes story progression arbitrary, and wrestling is story. It's violent theater, and when you have a confliction like this, it makes it awkward. It was a single-knee facebuster for Kiana to win. I will say Roxanne Perez was about to win, so at the very least, you have a follow-up to Kiana here, because you know Kiana's not going to beat Tiffany Stratton, but what are we going to do with Tiffany after this? We have No Mercy. We already have a rivalry going into it, maybe a few, depending on how they do with Carmelo Hayes and Ilja Dragunov. I'll be nice about this, and I'm going to give it a full thumbs up. I liked more than I hated. There were a couple of storylines here that you can follow up with, but I guess this the random women's championship match is just kind of turning me off, which is weird. But let me know what you thought about NXT in the comments, either down below or right next to me over here, depending on where you're watching this on. Like the video, share it with all your friends, and let's have a discussion. Once again, I like to read, and I will respond to as much as I can. Become a patron, get hats, all of that fun stuff. Links either down below or in my bio. And as always, be majestic.